Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Tulare County Board of Supervisors meeting. At 9 a.m. We're going to go ahead and get started. Oh, Supervisor Shuckman, how are you? We didn't see you here.
I saw your stuff.
Yeah. It's your last meeting.
We're going to start.
It is. And since this is my last meeting, we're going to go ahead and start off with the Pledge of Allegiance from Supervisor Vanderpool and then an invocation from Supervisor Townsend.
Please join me in saluting our nation's flag. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You join me in prayer. Lord, thank you for this new day today. We thank you for the privilege that we have of being able to be here this morning. Thank you for allowing us to live in this greatest nation on earth and allowing us the opportunity of self-governance. And we pray today that you would be on the hearts and minds of each person here on the dais, that we would make good decisions. Lord, guide us in that. And we also pray that for all other governmental boards around this nation, including all the way up to the federal level. Lord, we thank you for this season that we can celebrate the birth of our Savior, and we pray that you would keep people safe and let them have a great time in the holidays as they get together with family and friends. And we leave the rest of this day and the rest of this time to you now. Thank you for a wonderful year as we look forward to a great new year as well. And we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
We will now go on to Board of Supervisor matters, and we'll start on the left with Supervisor Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A few items. I'll keep my comments very brief today, but got numerous events and constituent meetings. I've got an annual meeting this week for the San Joaquin Valley Clean Energy Organization, which I serve on the governing board for. A couple of water meetings regarding GSAs in the southwest part of the county. But most importantly, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. May you all have a blessed and wonderful holiday season. That's all I want.
Thank you. Supervisor Townsend.
Changing it up on us. Wow. That'll teach you to be 1 minute late, right?
It gives me more time to gather my thoughts.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll just give also a brief kind of recap what's been going on. This last week, I had my rural county representatives of California board meeting on behalf of this board, being the delegate there. We also have, as a part of the rural county representatives, we have the Golden State Finance Authority, which provides first-time homeowner loans, which Tulare County does take advantage of that quite a bit, and some of our employees. So that's a good thing. The Golden State Connect Authority, which is based on trying to get broadband into rural areas, and we've taken advantage of some of the planning grants there along with the rest. And then the Golden State Natural Resources, which is putting together plants that was starting off with one plant that do wood pellets that are sold to burn to make electricity. And so it's some really good things going on. We had the California Labor and Workforce Development Agency Secretary Stuart Knox was our main presenter, and also Ahida Menon, the president of the Calbright College also, and we had some great discussions about community college and also workforce development with that group. After that, that was in Sacramento, and then I needed to go up to Auburn I've been placed on the Sierra Nevada Conservancy for 2 years. I'm kind of into the first year. I was just elected as the vice president of the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, and we did approve 2 forest management projects up there, along with our elections and regular presentations. Yesterday had an interview regarding the Tulare County Forest Health task force, and I want to thank Doreen Alves for setting that up. That was a great interview, really good discussions on how to better manage our local forests. And then the rest of this week, there's a lot of Christmas parties and dinners and things going on, as I'm sure you're all aware of. And so just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Be safe as you get to get together with family and friends, and hope to make great memories, and look forward to a great 2025. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Supervisor Valero.
Good morning, Tulare County. Just a few brief updates on Saturday, very busy. I was at the Ivanhoe cleanup. There was about 10 individuals, including students from the Key Club, that attended, and we cleaned up the Ivanhoe community. And so it was great to see people out there, and they do this on a monthly basis now. And so a lot of people just, again, caring for their community. That afternoon, attended the Las Madrinas Guild with Supervisor Shucklian and Supervisor McCarry. Was able to, again, raise funds for Valley Children's Hospital. Lots of great auction items, as well as a message from an RN who has been directly impacted by Valley Children's due to his child receiving care there. That evening, I attended the Wood Lake Parade. It just seems like with this great weather, there are many people going out to all of these great events. The Visalia Christmas Tree Lane Parade was packed as well. So a great opportunity to just see the community come together. And then on Sunday, I attended the Three Rivers Community Parade as well, and that too has been increasing with participants every year. And so kudos to the organizers for the Three Rivers Parade. On Monday, yesterday, I attended the Behavioral Health ribbon cutting for Cutler Rossi Joint Unified School District. They're putting a behavioral health center at the Family Resource Center, and this is for families, students, employees of the district to receive mental health services and counseling. So kudos to Cutler Rossi Joint Unified for starting this partnership with United Health Centers. And then this week, I have the NACO Human Services and Education Conference Call, along with the ribbon cutting for the new Dinuba High School. So students will be at the new high school starting in January, but there will be a ribbon cutting tomorrow to celebrate its success. And then a Kings River East GSA meeting, followed by an Ivan Network meeting on Thursday as well. And that is all I have, Chair.
Well, thank you. Supervisor Shucklian.
I have nothing, Chair.
Okay, thanks.
No, just kidding. Thank you. Yeah, just a couple of things from last week I want to highlight. As Supervisor Valero said, attended the Las Madrinas Guild. That's a local guild that supports Valley Children's Hospital. Also, where'd I go? There I am. Saturday night, I attended the Source Gala, and I was able to present Robin McGeehee with the Rainbow Award, but also one of our own, Monique Spence from HHSA, was recognized as a volunteer. She does a lot of great work, and it's always nice to see folks from the county volunteering and doing good work out in the community. So thank you very much, Monique, for that. This week, I have an air board meeting on Saturday, weather permitting. I will be fishing at Mooney Grove. They are now stocking, Fish and Game stocks the pond there every couple of weeks. So if you want to join me, come on out. On Monday is the Visalia Wellness Center. They are having an open house. That's our wellness center on Lover's Lane. And then I want to also congratulate our own board rep, Adriana Soto, who had a beautiful baby girl a little more than 2 weeks ago, Anahi Elena Valencia. So congratulations to her, and we got a new baby in the family. And then I also want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and any holiday that you recognize. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you. This last week had a lot of different events. A lot of them were discussed already, but I think the biggest highlight of it was that we did attend the Tulare Homeless Shelter groundbreaking event in Tulare. Supervisor Vanderpool and I were there, and we're looking forward to that. That's going to be on a county campus in conjunction with the city of Tulare, and a lot of services, and hopefully we can get some people on their feet and out of the homeless situation. attended the Lynn Cove Research citrus fruit display. It was amazing of the new products that they have, the new varieties, the different types of fruits that they have and have developed now. And so that was it's always a great event. And if you've never been, you really should go. You can try every imaginable citrus that's out there. And they even take something it's unripe, ripe, and overripe. And it gives you an idea of the sense of the texture of the fruit, the difference in the taste. So it's very interesting and educating. Friday evening was also the Lindsay Christmas Parade that I attended. Saturday was the Las Madrinas Guild annual. Oh, the Lindsay Christmas Parade, I helped serve food. Damon Qualls, the city manager, and I attended. We helped with the Lindsay Sikh community, or Tulare County Sikh community. And every year they put up a booth and it's free food for everybody that comes and serves. So it's always, I've done that for several years with them, and they are truly champions of the community, and when they give back all they can. So it's always a great honor to be there with them. We talked about the Las Madrinas Guild. And then I also attended the Source Gala, and it's great. And you can see Monique's face because she does not like recognition. She's out there just all the time working so hard, and is just happy and content to do that. And I saw her face when they announced her name, and it was quite humorous because she did not like the recognition. But that's good. She deserves it. Yesterday, I had a TCRTA meeting that was a special meeting where hopefully we're getting things worked out. We finalized on our side. We're waiting to see what's going to happen, and it looks like that we should be moving forward. I want to thank staff for attending the going away event for Tom Rooney, superintendent of the Lindsay Unified School District. Mr. Rooney had been there for like 40 years, and Israel covered for me. I was unable to attend to provide a certificate of appreciation, and the achievements that man has made is miraculous. He has really done a lot, and whoever replaces him is going to have enormous shoes to fill. Last night, I made an appearance at the Farmersville City Council meeting. Araceli Ochoa, I went to see her get sworn in. I want to congratulate her on her election. I had to leave early because I was at the Corps Academy, Class 11 for Tulare County Sheriff's Department. It was truly an honor to come back to my department and be invited to come back as a keynote speaker and stand on the same stage that I got sworn in 40 years ago when I graduated the academy. So it was nice to come around.
Did you say 40?
40, yeah. Okay. I'm older than you, Pete.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, so I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Holidays, however you choose to celebrate it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 2. Oh, go ahead.
May I? One thing I forgot. I just wanted to also mention that I know a friend of a lot of ours in here, Adrienne Hillman, on Friday was announced as Tulare's Woman of the Year. And so I think some of us will be attending the Tulare on January 24th will be the official presentation, but just wanted to mention that also.
All right, well, thank you. And this takes us to item number 2, and it's also something that we attended this week was a retirement party for Sheriff Castellini. She's going to be retiring, so we're going to present a plaque. Is Laura here? She's going to do a presentation.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. Hess, Ms. Flores. I'm Laura Crawford, General Services Agency Deputy Director. Our Director, Brooke Sisk, regrets that she is unable to be here today to personally recognize our purchasing manager, Sheriff Castellini, on her retirement. However, she has prepared the following comments, which I'm honored to share on her behalf. Sheriff began her distinguished career with Tulare County in 1999 at the Department of Child Support Services. Over the years, she has built an impressive legacy of service, including her 16 years at County Council, where she served as a paralegal. Always driven to grow and achieve, Cher obtained her bachelor's degree in 2016, a significant milestone that opened new doors for her career. Shortly thereafter, she promoted to administrative specialist position at HHSA in November of 2016, showcasing her versatility and dedication. In September of 2018, Cher's strong legal background, meticulous research skills, sound judgment, and keen attention to detail were recognized when she was recommended by CAO Jason Britt to serve as the interim purchasing manager for GSA during a period of significant process improvements within the division. Her outstanding performance made it clear she was the right person for the job, leading to her permanent appointment by then GSA Director John Hess in November of 2018. Over the past 6 years, Cher has proven time and time again that she's not only the right choice, but an indispensable asset to the county. Cher's achievements are numerous and well documented. In 2006, she was named Tulare County Employee of the Year, a testament to her exceptional contributions. Remarkably, she continued to shine nearly 2 decades later as one of the 7 finalists for this honor last year. This recognition was due in part to her tireless efforts during the 2023 March storms, where she worked around the clock, often on weekends, to secure the materials and supplies necessary to support emergency responders during a critical time of need. The role of purchasing manager is one of immense responsibility and trust, requiring a dedicated balance between adhering to complex laws and ordinances and meeting operational needs of county departments. Cher has performed this role with the utmost integrity, precision, and professionalism. Her expertise has ensured that the county remains in full compliance, all while empowering departments to provide essential services to the public. Navigating these competing demands is no small task, and Cher has done it masterfully. It has been a great pleasure to work with someone with Cher's caliber. While Cher has one of the strongest work ethics I've ever seen, she also makes it a priority to make things fun. She's dedicated and passionate and has excellent judgment and embodies the spirit of a true public servant. It has been a privilege to work alongside someone with Cher's caliber. Her relentless work ethic, keen judgment, and unwavering dedication to public service are unparalleled. Beyond her professional excellence, Cher has a gift of bringing joy and levity to her work environment, reminding us that all hard work and fun are not mutually exclusive. On behalf of the General Services Agency in the County of Tulare, I want to extend our deepest gratitude to Cher for more than 25 years of service to our community. While her retirement is well-earned and richly deserved, her presence will be deeply missed. Congratulations on this new chapter in your journey.
Okay, I hope I don't really have to say much, except that I'm not really good at these things, but I feel proud and just full of Christmas joy, I guess, knowing that I've worked for the county, doing a job that I feel good about, going to sleep every night, knowing that the contributions, however small, are, influencing the county and helping them get the things that they need and the work get done, whether it was in a legal capacity or working with HHSA or in my last role as the purchasing manager. So I just want to thank the entire county. Public service gets kind of hard hit sometimes, and county employees get criticized. But they don't know our county employees. They don't know that the majority of people that work for the county do it because they get a good sense of accomplishment and that they're giving something back to the community. At least that's been my experience. So I just want to thank everyone for recognizing me, and I think I just need to go back to work and finish it out. So thank you.
The county seal on it, and it's actually the highest award that the Board of Supervisors can give, and the department has to request it. So they thought it was obviously, Cher was special enough and had done enough hard work and everything to request this to get it done, and I think it's well deserving. So I want to present this back to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service. I appreciate everything. And all the years when I was with the county, I know that as I moved up the ranks and I had to be involved in more purchasing, we don't know. We stumble through, we figure it out, and we used to laugh, call it the walk of shame. So I'd walk from headquarters over here to be told that I needed to fix something, which is fine, and I learned. But I really appreciate all the help. Thank you so much. So we can get the board members to come down here. We'll take a picture.
All right.
You want to get your family up here too?
Okay.
You have family or anybody here with you?
No, I made them stay home. Yeah.
staff up. Your staff. Okay. They don't look very excited, sir. They're hesitant. There you go. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm good. Anybody? I'll make sure these are. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Oh, wait, one more. One more. Hold on, come back, come back. I know, you will. All right.
I just want to say real quick to share, you said the small contributions, but it's those small contributions that really turn into big contributions. So thank you for all your service and your mentorship, obviously. So best wishes in your retirement.
Anyone else have any comments? Sheriff, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to echo what Supervisor Shuckley mentioned. I wish Cher all the best in her retirement, and I really hope through all these contributions you've made over these years that the best years of your life are ahead of you.
And then I'll just share as well, again, your commitment to the county is evident with your many years of service. And so again, congratulations, enjoy your retirement. And again, this is truly something that you did out of the heart because public service, as you mentioned, can be challenging, but because you have the heart of service, hence why you have been able to make the county grow as you did. So thank you so much.
I want to chime in too, Chair, and something that Supervisor Scheckling said, wanted to echo that, especially that, the small things, but there's really no small job as long as you're doing it with all your heart and doing it to the best of your ability. And as you can see, it makes a huge difference to the county. Thank you for taking, being with the county so long and taking all those different positions wherever you were needed. We really appreciate that. And thank you for sticking in there with us and for making such a great difference.
All right, thank you. Sheriff, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your service, and congratulations on your retirement. We're going to go ahead and move on to our consent calendar, and which is items 7 through 54, and we're going to pull item number 28 for correction. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For item number 28, pages 1 through 29 of the agreement were not published with the agenda. The clerk is now circulating pages 1 through 29 to the board members, and copies of that document will be made available to public today.
I guess my question is, since we had just received this and haven't had a chance to review it, is there any deviation from the standard county agreements or contract?
No, this is consistent with the county protocols.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with item 28. Is there a motion? Anybody wish to make any public comments on item 28? Okay, seeing none, is there any comments from members of the board? Or
I'll just go ahead and move for approval. Happy to see this improvement go forward with the Teviston Community Center.
Okay, we have a motion from Supervisor Vanderpool, second by Supervisor Valero. Please cast your votes. And item 28 passes unanimously 5-0. So now we'll take the remainder of the consent calendar, which is items 7 through 54. Is there any discussion?
I'll move for approval of the consent calendar if there's nothing to be corrected or pulled for comment.
We have a motion from Sergeant Vanderpool, second by Sergeant Valero. Please cast your votes. And this consent calendar passes unanimously, 5-0. So now we're going to go back to public item number 3, public comments. Members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda. Under state law, matters presented under this item cannot be discussed or acted upon by the board at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public is invited to make comments when the item comes up for board consideration, so that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any person addressing the board will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, with a total of 15 minutes allotted for the public comment period. Comments should be relevant to matters within the board's subject matter jurisdiction and not repetitive of previous speakers. If you wish to agree with the previous speaker, you may state so on the record. If you have a written statement, please hand it to the board clerk and it will be included in the minutes of this meeting and circulated to the board. At all times, please use the microphone and state your name for the record. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, sir, we do. Javier Kaltenko.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Javier Kaltenko. I'm a Public Information Officer with the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we are providing disaster assistance to Kern County homeowners, renters, nonprofit organizations, and businesses of all sizes who were affected by the Burrell fire that happened back in July 24 to August 26. Tulare County is considered a contiguous county for this declaration. Therefore, the businesses and nonprofit organizations can apply for our economic injury disaster loan. This is a working capital loan to help those smaller businesses and nonprofits maintain the doors open. We want to make sure that if they're suffering economically due to the Burrell fire, they have the capital to maintain the doors open. They can use this loan to pay for their liabilities, for example, like water, electricity, payroll, and other liabilities they may have. Okay, we do have a deadline. We want to make sure that those who were affected, if they need to apply for the economic injury disaster loan, they need to apply before July 21st, 2025. We do have a center in Lake Isabel that is open, and they take applications. We have personnel there. They can answer questions and fill out the application if they need it. They are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. For the holidays, they will be closed starting on Thursday, 5 p.m., and they will reopen again on Monday, January 6th at 8 a.m. Some of the benefits of the Small Business Administration I want to mention is that we do not charge for an application. The loans can be up to 30 years. Right now, they don't have to make any payments, so for the first 12 months, they don't have to make any payments. For the first 12 months, it's 0% interest rate. And they're not obligated to take the loan. So if they apply and they decide that they don't need the loan or they don't need as much, they don't have to accept the loan. And they also, if they need to apply as well, they can also go to our website, lending.sba.gov, and they can apply there, or they can, if they have any questions, they can also call our number, 800-659-2955. Thank you, and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comments?
That was the last comment card.
Is there anyone in the audience wish to make any public comments? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public comment period, and now we're going to move on to our public hearings. Before we open the public hearings, can I please have the clerk provide instructions to members of the public on our procedures for today's hearings?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To members of the public, if you wish to provide public testimony in person, please complete and submit a comment card. Provide your name and agenda item for which you are providing testimony. There are 3 public hearings listed on the agenda today. Agenda items number 4, number 5, and number 6. If you have made campaign contributions totaling more than $250 to a board member in the past 12 months, please disclose this information prior to the beginning of your testimony, unless it is already noted in the public record. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. Your statements will go out on live audio stream and will be included in the audio recording of the meeting. The timer will be set to 3 minutes, so please adhere to the time limit. If you choose not to participate in person, you may participate by submitting an email as this item is being heard. Email should include the sender's name and address for the record. Email should include either agenda item number 4 for item number 4, or agenda item number 5 for item 5, or agenda item number 6 for item number 6. Email should be sent to the clerk of the board's email address at clerkoftheboard@tulare-county.ca.gov. Public testimony will not be read, but will be made part of the record, if received before the close of public testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes the instructions for today's public hearing.
Okay, we will now take up agenda item number 4. It's a public hearing to consider a request from the Resource Management Agency to certify the focused subsequent environmental impact report, findings of fact, and mitigation monitoring and reporting program as the correct level of environmental review for the proposed Visalia disposal site and biogas and compost facility landfilling operations project located at 8614 Avenue 328 in Visalia. The public hearing is now open. We will start with staff's presentation and then take board questions and public testimony. Department, please make your presentation.
Chairman McCary, Supervisors John Hess, Council, and Clerk. I am Aaron Bach, Assistant Director with the Resource Management Agency, and we are making a presentation on behalf of Solid Waste, Environmental Health, and the Resource Management Agency. The Visalia Disposal Site Wastewater Biogas and Compost Facility, State Clearinghouse number 2021020054. This is the final environmental impact report public hearing and local enforcement agency public information meeting. So by way of background, as required by SB 1383, the county is designing and permitting a composting facility at the Visalia disposal site. A focused environmental impact report was prepared for the Visalia landfill compost and biomass conversion facility project. It was adopted and certified by the Tulare County Board of Supervisors on September 27, 2022. Tulare County Solid Waste is back here currently seeking a new standalone biomass conversion and composting permit. The landfill is permitted to receive up to 2,000 tons per day of solid waste and 900 vehicles per day. This increases the landfill's overall daily solid waste tonnage and daily vehicle limit to avoid violating its permitted daily tonnage vehicle limits. That's why we're back here today for this environmental impact report. This requires a standalone permit with the existing footprint within the existing footprint of the Visalia landfill for the biomass conversion composting facility. Haul trucks that would transport biomaterial will be exclusively used for biomass conversion composting purposes. Water and sewer are more than originally approved, but within Cal Water's and the City of Visalia's wastewater plans covered by the program EIR and City's General Plan EIR. They have a will serve letter from Cal Water and anticipate amending the extraterritorial agreement in March with the City of Visalia. This is also a public information meeting pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Title 27, Sections 21660 and 21660.2. The Tulare County Environmental Health Division serves as a local enforcement agency for solid waste facilities within the county. Tulare County EHD, as the LEA, is holding this informational meeting today to discuss the permit application with the public, allowing for questions and feedback. So the specific project proposals increase the landfill's total daily permitted tonnage of solid waste to 3,000 TPD, increase its total daily landfill tonnage by diverting 1,000 TPD of daily organic waste material to be used for biomass conversion, composting, and maintaining its 2,000 TPD of solid waste towards landfilling. It is anticipated that the composting component of the biomass conversion composting facility would reach its planned maximum of 200,000 TPD over the course of 13 years and would be constructed in 4 phases of 50,000 TPY per year. Increase the landfill's daily permitted vehicles trips by 300 vehicles daily, haul trucks to 1,200 total vehicles daily. The county's current permit allows a daily limit of 900 total vehicles daily. If at current averages, approximately 600 vehicles per day, allowing the additional 300 vehicles, haul trucks, would provide a comfortable margin from its current limit of 900. The increase of 300 haul trucks per day would be incremental over a 13-year period to coincide with the full build-out and operation of the biomass conversion composting facility. The CEQA process is now complete. Pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15082, the NOP for the proposed project was circulated for a 30-day comment period, beginning on June 13th, 2023, and ending on July 13th, 2023. A scoping meeting was held on June 29th, 2023, during the NOP comment period at the Tulare County Resource Management Agency conference room. No comments were received at the scoping meeting. The notice of availability of the draft focus SEIR was supplemental EIR was published at the Sun Gazette on December 27th, indicating that 2023, indicating that a 45-day review period would begin on December 29th, 2023, and ending on February 12th, 2024. Comments were received from the California Department of Resource Recycling and Recovery, CalRecycle, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, California Department of Transportation, and the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. As in regards to the mitigation reporting program, the standard biological, cultural, and tribal survey requirements and/or mitigation measures were included in the MMRP. This project will require the purchase of emission reduction credits, ERCs, from the Air District as mitigation measure because of the emission thresholds are projected to exceed limits as determined by the Air District over time. Staff responded to the comments from all these agencies in the requisite amount of time, and those are included in the final focused supplemental EIR. This is a dual-purpose meeting today. As discussed, notice of all public hearings shall be given in a timely manner. The notice may be given in the same form and time as the notice for other regularly conducted public hearings of the public agency. New permit actions under the substitute meetings under 27 CCR 21660-4, the LEA is present at the meeting, publicly recognized, okay, and available to answer questions. The board recognizes Dr. Jessica Goki, the local enforcement agency for the state, CalRecycle, as being present and available to answer questions as necessary at the time the public hearing is open, of which she is. That concludes staff's report. If there's any questions for staff, I'm here. It looks like some of the representatives from solid waste are here, as well as the LEA herself.
Thank you. Do any members of the board have any questions for staff at this time? Okay, at this time, we'll take public testimony from anyone in the audience who wishes to speak. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. Madam Clerk, do we have any names, any cards?
No, sir, we have no cards.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am. Would you please come up to the microphone?
Is this about the increase?
This is about the, no, the price
Okay,
increase?
I want to
Okay,
speak on
that's,
it.
yeah.
Okay, is there anyone else wishing to speak on item number 4? Okay, do we have any emails from members of the public?
No, sir.
There being no more public testimony, I will close the public testimony portion of this hearing and bring the matter back to the board for discussion and action. Do any of the board members have questions for staff at this time or wish to take more time to review the material? This matter is also on the board's closed session agenda as item number A. At this time, do any of the board members or council feel the need to convene for closed session? Okay, so at this time, I'll entertain a final board discussion or motion.
I'll move to approve the request made by RMA.
We have a motion by Supervisor Townsend, a second by Supervisor Shucklian. Please cast your votes. And item passes unanimously, 5-0. And this concludes agenda item number 4. And thank you. And the public hearing is now closed. I want everyone to remember the direction and the instructions from the clerk. So we will now take up agenda item number 5, a public hearing to consider a request from the Solid Waste Department to approve the franchise hauler's maximum collection and ancillary rates for service areas A, B, C, D, E, G, H, and J, effective April 1, 2025 through June 30, 2025. The public hearing is now open. We will start with staff's presentation and then take board questions and public testimony. Department, please make your presentation.
Good morning. Bryce Howard, Director of Solid Waste. We're here to talk about 1383.
Good. Bryce, can you speak into the microphone? We can have trouble hearing you.
Okay, try that.
Thanks. So I think we've all been hearing about 1383 for quite some time now. And basically what's happening here is, well, let's go back a little bit farther back. So 30 or so years ago, we went to going to diversion. We went through AB 939, which was a revolutionary change in how we looked at trash and recycling. So all of a sudden, all of us got blue carts and gray carts, and some of us even got green carts. And that was a big change for all of us 35 years ago, one of the biggest change in the industry at that time, where we really focused on the blue cart, the diversion, trying to get recyclables out of landfills. So that stayed status quo for a long time. Then about 10 years ago, the state of California got very interested in greenhouse gas emissions and decided, how can we reduce greenhouse gas emissions? And one of the ways they came up with, they looked at greenhouse gas emissions coming out of landfills. And they recognized that as a very significant source of greenhouse gas emissions, methane, from the decomposing organic material in landfills. So they passed a bunch of regulations forward through into 1383. 1383 is another big sea change for all of us, similar to what happened 35 years ago. And the big difference now is they're going to require us to take all of our organic material, and it used to be organic material I always thought about was just green waste. Well, we have that green cart for green waste, but now they're focused on food, scraps, anything that decomposes in a landfill that generates methane, that generates greenhouse gas emissions. So they've mandated all of us as generators, and us as the county represent the generators for the unincorporated area, to place organic material now into that green cart and have that green cart service. So for our residents, we already have green cart service throughout our entire unincorporated area, except for the foothill area. And then some of that, you can get green cart service. But in the valley floor area, we all get green cart service already. What's it going to require us to do is to move that organic material from that gray cart or from that blue cart into the green cart. And it's a state mandated program. That's what's really critical to remember here. This is a state mandated program. We represent the generators. The generators are being held accountable for this. Very similar to like 35 years ago, they mandated this idea of diversion on the blue cart, and they fined you if you didn't comply. This is the same type of system they have in place this time. Big sea change for all of us in the industry. So that's one of the big sort of overview of what 1383 is. It's moving organics from the brown or gray cart, the trash cart, and the blue cart, the restock cart, into the green cart, so we can process that material in a composting operation, which reduces the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that come out of the landfills that reduce overall global warming. State mandated. So 1383 has many elements to it. Today we're addressing really the last element, which is the generator compliance through collection activities element. The other elements the county is already starting to work on. Edible food recovery, paper procurement, organics procurement, and sludge management. Each one of those are requirements through 1383. Today, we're really here to discuss the generator compliance, the commercial entity and the residential entity that we represent. So what are the big changes that are coming? So part of it is, like I've said, the green cart is going to become sort of the focal point. But what's going to happen is we have to actually go out and monitor and look at how much contamination, in other words, how much organics are getting into the gray cart or the black cart and the blue cart to make sure our generators and us are complying with that. So there's a whole monitoring component of this. Along with that monitoring component, there's a whole educational component that we have to go through as well. Our hauler is going to be educating people along with ourselves to make sure people understand what goes into what cart. There's an enforcement piece. If you don't do this, the state comes out and they like to fine you for things that you don't do. They'll fine us more than they will the resident, of course, for not implementing something. So for example, if we didn't implement the system of helping our generators get in compliance, the state would fine us, the county, as representing the generators. It also requires us, as the provider of this service, to make sure our residents comply or our commercial entities comply. We are required to go out and search for compliance. The last part about what we're looking at here, to make this a better system overall, what we did is we took the valley floor that was separated by urban and rural services, and at that time, really the difference between those services is that the green and blue cart on the rural side was every other week. Now it's going to go every week. So the rural customer is going to get more service, if you want to say that, more frequency of service. And we looked at that, and our haulers came back to us and said, actually treating everybody the same in that service area was a better way to get better pricing for everybody and better compliance with the regulation. So we took the valley floor and we made it into a valley floor zone. That normally was rural and urban. So now it's one big zone. The foothill zone is still the same. And in fact, the foothill area, because of its low population, is waived for currently is waived up to 5 years, maybe longer, from being in compliance with 1383. They have a waiver up in that area. So they don't have to move that organic material. So they have a waiver up there. We also looked at extending the term of the existing agreements. Existing agreements have about 6 years left. We extended that term to get 15 total years. Our haulers have been doing a good job providing good service. And we looked at that as getting better pricing for us because there is some capital they have to go through. There's some additional trucks, maybe some additional carts, maybe some additional people to provide this service. Plus the facilities that process all the green waste as well that now has this food in it is more costly. So by spreading that out over a longer period of time, we were able to negotiate some better pricing with our haulers.
Bryce, real quick before you leave that slide. So just maybe walk through the implementation of this for me a little bit. So back 30 years ago, I was 10, so I don't really remember. When the recycling mandate came down, what they basically did, they had the MRF process where they would pull out all the recycling material, and this is on the hauler side. Obviously, residents, commercial entities would have a separate container where they try to isolate recyclable material. So now fast forward to today with 1383 implementation, the green waste cart is going to be all organics, food waste, et cetera, that residents are going to be putting, supposed to be putting into the green cart. But then will that go through a same process of like a MRF type system where waste, green or organic waste will be pulled from the waste stream and isolated like recyclables were? So that's one part of the question. And then the other question is up in the foothills with the 5-year waiver, the trash haulers are still mandated to separate green waste or organics from the waste stream, but they're not going to get the assistance of the residents or commercial entities. Is that correct?
So this is really focused on the generator, right? On that person that's generating this material. Okay. So up in the foothill area, they will not have to comply with taking their organic material out of their recycle cart or out of their trash cart into the green cart. That can be separate green waste. They don't have to comply with that because it's a low population area, and Cal Recycle has seen that as giving them more time to comply later. And then
back to the first question. Right. My vision of the MRF process is that basically what's going to be done here or not?
Yeah, so you're correct in that there is a sorting process that goes out, but it's more looking for contaminants that aren't compatible with composting operations. Somebody throws a glass bottle in there, somebody throws some metal in there. So there's a sorting that goes on. And in the beginning, there's quite a bit of sorting, trying to re-educate, just like there was with the blue cart, a lot of education around that. There is a lot of education. A lot of the carts will have, all the carts will have stickers on them, sort of identifying what needs to go out. There'll be a lot of mailers going out to people. And there is a break-in period of time of trying to educate on getting people to move from one to the other.
Excuse me, Bryce, I just to make sure I'm understanding. The generator, the residents in the foothills will not have to comply with 1383. However, the hauler is going to have to, and the burden's on them to separate it once they pick up. Is that correct or no?
No. So the hauler will not have to. There'll be no burden on them to do that.
Okay.
Now, just in reality, I'm not sure how each hauler is going to handle this, but it's probably going to the same composting operation. It doesn't have to, but it probably is. So there's going to be a certain amount of looking for contamination and things like that. But the actual organic monitoring and educational piece up there doesn't have to take place.
Okay. Sorry, Laura, go ahead.
Thank you. So the complying component is extended, correct, for the foothill community. However, but the charge itself, is that immediate? Does that happen as soon as we approve this, and why so?
Right, okay, so the rate structure up in the foothill area will stay the same. There's no changes to the rate structure up there. I've got a slide that's going to talk about rates, but just so you know, the valley floor area, the rural resident and the urban resident are going to see a rate increase, and the commercial entities as well. Up in the foothill area, that's not correct, no. Now one thing we should keep in mind is that 1826, which is commercial organics recycling, complies wherever you are. There's no waiver for that. So if you're a commercial entity, you have to comply with 1826, which they already are complying with, which is organics into a thing. But it's a different sort of process, because 1826 doesn't have this, how should I put it? It doesn't have the enforcement fining mechanism that 1383 does. So not to try and confuse anything anymore, but the foothill area will not be subject to 1383. So anyway, this is a map of our zones. It's a little difficult to see, but basically we're going to 2 zones instead of 3. We've already discussed that quite a bit. And here's the basic rate increases. So what we found in going through this with our haulers is that predominantly on the residential side, we saw 85 to 90% of our customers had a 90-gallon cart rate. They want the bigger cart. So we offer 2, the big one and sort of the next size down. And you can see that what our current rates are. For urban, 33.83, for rural, 35.26. And these are monthly rates, by the way. And the proposed 90-gallon cart rate for the valley floor, which would be both of them, would be 37.26. So that's a rate increase of 6% on the rural customer and 10% on the urban customer. Also, on existing organics cart, which all of our commercial entities have those, they'll see a 10% increase on the organics cart part. So our rate sheets are split out where there's a separate organics cart price that's being bundled together, but it's still a 10% rate increase just on the organics cart price. For comparisons, as you suspect, the cities, the incorporated cities inside this county have better pricing than we do. We're much more spread out. There's more drive time in between things. They have the advantage of being more condensely populated, which reduces costs. But you can see that some of the cities have very low costs and some of them are a little bit higher. So there's a good range of costs in there. But we are certainly higher than all the cities. This is Fresno County. Obviously a little bit more expensive neighborhoods up there maybe. But here's their different zones. This is unincorporated pricing, gives you an idea of where our price, which is the 37.26, fits into our Tulare County city costs, and then the rates for Fresno County as well. So that ends my presentation.
Good.
Sorry, you were ending
No,
anyway.
no,
But
go
I
ahead.
was just going to ask you on that comparison. Did you have one for like Kern and Kings as well?
I don't have that, sorry.
Any idea off the top of your head if it's in the ballpark?
I believe our pricing is probably very competitive. I don't know if that's the right word, but similar pricing to those. It might even be lower. Several of our haulers have expressed to me that the pricing we're getting today is significantly lower than the surrounding communities. So department requests is to conduct a public hearing and approve the franchise hauler's maximum collection and ancillary rates for services A, B, C, D, E, G, H, and J. Approve the recommended maximum collection ancillary rates per attached Exhibit B, effective April 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. Approve the amendment for franchise agreements with Peña's Disposal, South Tulare Rich Grove, Thule Trash, Miramonte Sanitation, USA Waste, and Mid-Valley Disposal through January 2025 through June 30th, 2039. Just want to remind you that we do have a normalized rate increase process we'll be going back through that will be effective on July 1 as well. So we'll go through a normal CPI inflationary hearing again in April and May.
All right.
Any other questions?
Is there any members of the board have any questions for staff at this time? At this time, we'll take public testimony from anyone in the audience who wishes to speak. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment cards?
No, sir, I have no public comment cards.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to make any comments or speak on this item?
I'd like to say, I don't know what's going on, but they've had like 4 increases in the last 5 years. We just recently started getting 3 separate trucks to pick up our trash. So I live in the West Goshen area, and this just started like 3-4 months ago. Every time they came to get the trash, we'd put it out, all 3 cans, 1 truck picked up all 3 cans. It's been like that for years. I don't understand. This is, this is hard on the people with minimum incomes. I care about recycling. I care about my carbon footprint. I put my trash out maybe once a month because I'm one person, and I sort and I do all that, and I've been doing it for years now. And like I said, they just started sending separate trucks like 3-4 months ago. My neighbor's here, she can attest to it too. That's all. It's just too much. When does the greed end? You're killing us Americans. I don't know.
All right, thank you. Bryce, maybe you could take a few minutes after the meeting and just have a discussion and see if we can't help answer some of her questions, if you don't mind, please. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to make any public comments? Madam Clerk, we have emails. I know I have forwarded a few. Do we have emails from members of the public?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have, we've received 17 written public comments. I'll pass those out right now.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask a point of clarification on the rate adjustment calculations. I noticed that for the bear cans that $12 were included as monthly charges per cart. Is that $12 for the cost of the bin itself and then that cost no longer exists, or that is a continuous cost for the lifetime of the use?
That's a cost for the cart itself. So it has a different locking mechanism on it that's more expensive to implement, and it takes more time to actually pick up the cart as well.
Okay,
So
but what I'm saying is that once that the customer has paid for that particular bin, is that customer still paying those $12 monthly? Because again, I believe that in our conversation, what we had last year with Mid-Valley, that that the customer will pay up to whatever the cost of that bin was. But is this now different in terms of just a $12 per month?
Correct. That's $12 per month.
Okay, and then the question that I had was, the truck itself can pick up both a bear-proof can and a regular can at the same time, correct? There is no need for an additional vehicle to go up to provide specific pickup service for one or the other.
That's my understanding, that's correct.
So can I get a little bit of a clarification on the additional 10% monthly surcharge for the bear-proof can, in terms of why an additional 10% on the rate adjustment calculation?
So
What additional costs are there besides not having to use a different truck?
Right. So I believe the actual cost is additional $12 for
Yeah,
the
but
actual
then-
card itself.
Yeah, so for the card itself, but then if you go up to the other item, which is for the foothill areas, prior to the auxiliary services, there is another item that says bear-proof can additional monthly surcharge 10%.
Right, I believe that's an oversight on our part.
Okay.
But I can, I guess I could ask Mid-Valley's representative to stand up here and verify that with me, but I believe that what we talked about with them was an additional $12 per month.
Okay. So the other items should be excluded from the actual adjustment calculation.
Correct. Is that correct, Mid-Valley? Oh, here we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Supervisor Joseph Kalkoff, owner of Mid-Valley Disposal. So there's two components. There's a residential component, which is the $12. Those bear carts are 5 times the cost of a regular cart. The 10% was supposed to be on the commercial services for a commercial bin with the metal lids and the locking bar on that for the bear bin. So I think it was pushed up a little bit in the auxiliary rates, but it should be in the commercial rates.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions from members of the board? Has everyone had time to review the emails? Okay, there be no more public testimony. I will close the public testimony portion of this hearing and bring matter back to the board for discussion and action. Do any of the board members have questions for staff at this time or wish to take more time to review the material?
Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions for staff. I just have a few comments. You know, I realize that there's a lot of moving pieces in the whole solid waste puzzle, so many of which are not local haulers, local residents, local businesses' choice. This is forced down upon us by the state of California. It was recycling 30 years ago. And now it's organics and green waste. These are mandates from the state that have come down to us that we have to implement, and our haulers have to implement these mandates as well. That doesn't come free. That's an additional cost. And it's unfortunate that all residents have to bear those costs, but we live in the state of California, and call it a luxury tax or whatever you want to call it, but the state of California is coming up with a lot of new laws, new regulations all the time that cost money, and we have to come up with those funds to pay for all of these mandates on our haulers and everything else. So this is unfortunate, but I do think that there are some additional items that we are working on. I appreciate the bear can being already implemented into this rate. I think that that's going to make a difference in the mountain communities. I know that I have been working with Bryce specifically on some concepts for mandatory trash hauling in the unincorporated areas. I think that's an interesting idea that we're looking into. There's a lot of different things we can do to help maintain an economy of scale, help clean up the county, and then also just keep our systems solid in solid waste going forward. So this is not easy, but I think it is an important thing that we implement these new rates. I appreciate all the haulers for coming to the table, helping to be creative and come up with rates that work for them, but also work for our residents. I think one thing that I really like seeing is looking at what our rates are for both urban and rural, areas and comparing them to other jurisdictions around us. We are almost as competitive with one of our cities, but we're doing a lot better than other counties around us. And I think that says a lot for our advocacy as representatives of Tulare County residents to keep their costs down compared to what other Valley residents are paying. So appreciate all the work that's gone into this, and that's really all I wanted to say.
Supervisor Townsend.
Thank you. Thanks, Bryce, for the presentation. And just on the same track as Supervisor Vanderpool, we've had some conversations. I'll just make those public regarding those long-term studies for the county because we do have along with the rate increases, along with the mandates, we also have the shrinking areas where our landfills are located now in Woodville and in Visalia only. And so I still have that request on the table that we come back with a long-term study, perhaps create an ad hoc to look at what's going to be happening in the long range, especially with southeastern Tulare County, which is where we don't have a landfill anymore. And part of that discussion was also, as Supervisor Vanderpool mentioned, the aspect of potentially mandatory hauling to help with those overall costs. And in the meantime, I'd also mentioned the program that we have with the Sheriff's Department with the inmate crews going out and cleaning up when somebody does dump on the side of the road. Really like to see that come back to full speed and maybe more than it was prior to the emptying out of a lot of our prisons and jails. And then the last thing that we had been discussing is perhaps using the landfill that is now full at Teapot as a transfer station, maybe mattress drop-off site, the free mattress recycling drop-off site, at least to make some sort of an adaptive reuse of that particular landfill. That's all I had. Thanks.
Supervisor Valero.
Okay. So I know many households are feeling the strain on their pocketbooks as costs for everyday essentials continue to rise. And while I'm disappointed by the impact that this has on families, and again, there have been many who have shared their concerns, know that we don't take this lightly. This is something that, as my colleagues have mentioned, is coming down from the state as mandates. And do know that as a county, we are a cost recovery. Nowhere have we ever tried to make profit on services that, again, are essential everyday needs for our communities. And so, again, it frustrates me every time we have items like this come before the board, but we know that, again, we have to do this in order to keep our services running daily for the people that we serve. So like I mentioned, this is very hard pressed on my heart, but I know that, again, we have to do this in order to keep our county moving forward.
Well, thank you. I just want to add, I'm not a fan of this at all. I understand there's a necessity. I think it's terrible that the burden and the cost gets put on our haulers who are a business, who have families, who have employees, who need to be able to pay their bills. We have people here in our communities that are struggling to pay for it, and this is going to be an impact. But, to save greenhouse gases at a landfill that's captured and used as a fuel, we're doing this, or we're going to put more trucks on the road. To me, it just makes all kinds of sense. It's the state of California. Yeah, it's just absurd. And we all know it's economics, and I guess they're not teaching it in school anymore. But every time they pass something up there that they think is a great idea, we pay for it. The bottom line is it ends up with the consumer, ends up with us. And I don't understand why people continue with this, why people aren't standing up and taking a voice to Sacramento, because that's where it's coming from. We write letters all the time, either supporting an initiative that makes sense or opposing it if it's going to injure our communities here. We do it all the time. And it's time for us to unite and be a community and stand up and not put up with this anymore. Every time they come up with a great idea, it costs us money. Think about it. Look at the history. Fuel. How much are we paying in taxes on gas? Guess what? That tax goes to the haulers who have to pay that. We end up absorbing that. So I don't like it. I really don't like it. I think it's detrimental to everybody involved. And I think we do need to support our communities, but we need to support our businesses too, which is our haulers. So with that, go ahead, Supervisor Valero.
And I will just share that the haulers have stepped it up when it comes to our dump days or cleanup days. I know, for example, in the community of Ivanhoe, we've had 2 this past year. Typically, we've had 1, and right away, Waste Management is there saying, okay, how many bags, what do you need in terms of the bins? And so they have been very front and center in making sure that when communities want to have these dump on me days, that they're readily available to support that assistance when community gets involved and community wants to do these type of things. So again, I appreciate that for your assistance in these type of events.
All right, so is there any more comments from members of the board? It's on a closed session agenda. We didn't need reason to go to closed session. This time I'll entertain a final board discussion or motion on this item. We have a motion by Supervisor Shucklian. Well, I second it. All right, and then we have a motion by Shucklian. I seconded it, and passes unanimously 5-0. So this now concludes agenda item number 5. Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. So we're going to move on to item 6. I want everyone to remember the instructions given by the clerk earlier before this all began. And we will now take up agenda item number 6, a public hearing to consider approving the tipping fee adjustments. The public hearing is now open. We will start with staff's presentation and then take board questions and public testimony. Department, please make your presentation.
So this is I guess this is the rate increase day, unfortunately. So this is a public hearing about increasing our tip fees at our landfills. This is on a couple of different areas of our tip fees, not on the self-haul portion. This is not on the self-haul portion of so people bring in small loads. This is on our per ton rate and in our green waste and our C&D rate, all weighed rates. So the critical piece about this is that I would say the biggest rate we have where most of our customers come through is our commercial weighed rate. So all of our cities, all the haulers, all come through on that rate, larger trucks. That rate has not gone up in a dozen years now. Inflation has gone up a lot more than that. So we're asking for a small increase on that rate. We expect that increase to go on for quite some time, maybe a year, 3, 4, 5 years or so. But we'll come back each year to revisit how we're doing financially. And I'm going to go through why we need that increase and what we're facing right now. So in general, what's happening is that we've been fortunate over the last dozen years or so that the amount of waste that goes into our landfills, and therefore the amount of revenue we're able to collect to offset the cost, has gone up at least the same as our costs have gone up, inflation, basically. Well, that is starting to change. We're starting to see a slowdown in the amount of material we're seeing in our landfills, and we're still seeing that same cost increase. As we all know, inflation has taken off quite a bit over the last couple of years, and we're starting to feel that inside our enterprise fund that supports the solid waste operations at the landfills. Critically, what's happening is our large capital projects, which are these large cell construction projects. So as you can see on this slide, you can see that there's these large capital-intensive projects that we're going through. Now, one of the advantages we had over the last 12 years was that we were only doing expansion or large capital cell construction at one landfill. That was at Visalia. Teapot Dome was just going up. So when you go out, it costs a lot more money. You got to expand it. When you're just going up, you're not. So for this dozen years or so that we didn't see that increase, we were just going out at one landfill. Now, we've closed Teapot Dome, and now we're pivoting towards Woodville. So now what we're going to see is for a period of time, up until, let's see, Visayas expansion phase 4, which is the last expansion horizontally of that landfill, is going to take place in 2027. So we're going to have this little bubble period where we're building landfill expansions at 2 locations for the first time in forever, I guess, in a long, long time. And these expansions have gone up dramatically in price, along with all of our equipment and stuff. So we're seeing this bubble happening. If we don't raise our gate rate a little bit to cover that little bubble that's occurring in the future, the enterprise fund is going to get to a place where we're not going to have enough money to provide the service that we normally do. So you can see that our landfill expansions are happening in 2024 right now. We're completing our first one at Woodville, so we're doing sort of two. We're then going to do Visalia again in 2027, then Woodville again in 2030, and then another one at Woodville in 2034. All sizable amount of costs. So this is what happens if we don't increase rates. You can see that our costs, the expense, the green bars, are starting to exceed the blue bars, which is the revenue mark. So as you can see, like in 2026, we seem to be okay, but then 2027, we have that large expense of that cell construction out at Visalia. Now that's the last one we're going to do at Visalia for 20 years. So once we get through this little phase that we're looking at right here, then costs, we might be able to get through with not raising our costs very much. We might be able to get through our tip fees sort of flattening out again if our volumes increase. Now, of course, we're going to take organic material away. We're going to take more diversion, so we're going to be going against that sort of tide of regulation as well. But you can start to see this is what happens if we do no rate increase. If we have the $1 rate increase per year for 5 years, that's being sort of floated out there right now. We're asking for $1 this year, and then each year we'll come back and reevaluate how we're doing, see if our maybe volumes have gone up, if our expenses have flattened out, if inflation's changed. But this is what happens if we do no rate increase. The blue is is the negative amounts. That's where we start to go negative. And in fact, it starts to get to the point where you get out to the out years, 10 years from now, where the fund really becomes endangered. We're starting to run out of money. If the costs keep going up at 3 to 4% a year, and our volumes only go up at 1% a year, we have this 3% difference, and that's going to strip out our reserves that we have currently now available to us. Now, if we do a $1 increase over the next 6 years, then you can see what starts to happen. The blue starts to keep up with the green, and except for those big years where we have those cell construction costs, it starts to get a little better for us. We're able to keep up our reserves, able to keep up enough money to do the cell constructions and provide the service. This is what happens with our reserves over that same period of time. The blue shows a little extra that we don't really might need. So there is this opportunity to look at that in, let's say, 2028, 2029 and say, well, maybe we can come down a little bit. But you can see as we get out towards the out years, because of that inflation we're anticipating, we start to run out of money again. So what are we asking for? A couple different increases today. So one is on green waste. Green waste, we actually came to the board about a year ago, and we moved that rate from 29 up to 34. But pure cost recovery for us is more like $40. So a year ago, we moved this, 6 months ago, moved this rate about halfway. We're asking for the other half now. We won't need to come back for this rate increase on probably not for a while after this. C&D. Now, both the green waste and the C&D components are a very small percentage of our overall volume that comes in, and a small percentage of our customers will be impacted. The C&D rate, we're asking for another $3. We asked for $3 last time. This is normally for customers that are doing projects that they need C&D recycling to comply with Cal Green, another Sacramento initiative that says you need to recycle 65% of your construction waste. And so we provide that service at a premium compared to our trash service. The general refuse, which affects the majority of our customers and of our cities, is $1, going from 34 to 35. Last change was in 2012. And we're expecting to come back to you each year for 5 years for that increase. One more thing I should point out, this increase doesn't take place until July 1st. We're coming to you this early on because we have multiple city contracts. We want to let them know ahead of time if we're actually going to do this extra dollar so they can prepare their budgets and their fiscal planning for the next year. So the rate comparisons. So for green waste, we're proposing $40. We have 2 other composters / green waste outlets in the county. Wood Industries at $38, Waste Management Sites at $58.33. So we're sort of in that same ballpark, maybe on the lower end. Construction demolition, we're proposing $45. If you go up to Fresno County, it's $90 to get that done. General refuse rate, we're charging $35. American Avenue, which is Fresno County's landfill, is $28.10. Now, one thing I should point out is we do offer our cities, our 3 large cities, Visalia, Tulare, and Porterville a discount. They're actually right now at $28 compared to the $34. We have a contract with them for extended period of time to bring us their waste exclusively. That's going up $1 from 28 to 29. So that's concludes my proposal or my presentation. Any questions?
Do any members of the board have any questions for staff at this time? Bryce, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, what's our budget for the litter crew that we paid for the sheriff's department?
Yeah, good question. So I think it runs around like $100,000 or so per crew to supply a deputy, a vehicle, some of that sort of stuff. So we have 3 crews out there right now. It's probably $300,000 or so, maybe a little less than that, but that's about what it runs.
So, because I know through experience, every time we get a rate increase, we get higher trash dumpings down in the county.
True.
Every time we do that, and I know we're in a spot where we need to do something, but I think we end up compounding the matter.
So
you can tell driving down the road when we start charging for something and it goes up, you start seeing it piled up everywhere.
Great question. We are not raising the rate on tires. We're not raising the rate on appliances. Mattresses are still free, even though we see them on the side of the roads. And we're not raising the rate on the self-haul community, which is $20. So that is not being raised. We don't expect to raise that rate for many years. This is on the commercial side of it. Mostly our large commercial haulers will pay that increase. And therefore, truthfully, that gets trickled down to our residents and our commercial businesses.
So we just voted on the fees, now the tipping fees. So these tipping fees are impacting our haulers as well.
That's correct. They will, when they come through for a rate increase in April and May, we will factor this into that rate increase process. The rate increase process that happens, this is effective on July 1st. So the rate increase process we do with our haulers annually, that's in the agreement you just approved, is a CPI component, and then there's also a tip fee component that they will get a small increase in their rates for the increase on the tip fee that they will have to pay, and therefore an increase on our residents.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the members of the board? So at this time, we'll take public testimony from anyone in the audience who wishes to speak. Each person will have 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any emails from the public on this item?
No, sir.
So there being no more public testimony, I will close the public testimony portion of this hearing and bring the matter back to the board for discussion and action. Do any of the board members have questions for staff at this time or wish to take more time to review the material?
So just a quick comment. Thanks for the presentation, Bryce. You mentioned in the presentation 12 years ago was our last tipping fee adjustment. I remember 12 years ago, and I also remember where the financial position was 12 years ago. That's when you were brought in to Tulare County, and I think you've really changed and right-sized the ship and brought us into a much more stable financial position. But do you remember where we were in 2012 when you first came in? How many holes or how many millions of dollars in the red we were in our enterprise fund?
So my recollection is that before I started, your board took some actions to try and correct the situation of the enterprise fund. And that came about because there was a request for $5 to $6 million. I wasn't here at the time, this is my recollection. $5 to $6 million from the general fund to go into the enterprise fund to help it be sustainable.
Yeah.
And at that time, then you took some actions to raise some rates, close some facilities, and focus on setting up agreements with the surrounding community. Our haulers participated a lot by doing that, and we were able to right the ship.
Right the ship. And you know, we competed for garbage. We had to bring in our own waste back into our own county, which is a really novel idea, the fight for trash. But we entered into that fight and we did really well. You know, we still see a similar scenario where American Avenue just has a lower rate, and it's cheaper to go and dump up there. You didn't mention Kettleman City, which is another potential site that a hauler could go to, but we had to negotiate and get that waste here so that we could build the volume that we needed to continue to maintain a reliable solid waste service going into the future, and we've done that. It's been great not having to increase the rate over the last 12 years. We've had, during that time, especially more here recently, increasing mandates from the state of California, and we've been able to comply in general without increasing rates, but we finally have hit that point in time. I don't think that this rate increase is too drastic. I appreciate the phase-in over a period of time. And you made the point in your comments that ultimately we increase the tipping fee. That's going to trickle down to our constituents, the people that we represent and the businesses that are in our communities. So it's going to have a downstream effect, but it's what we have to do for the stability of this fund and for the system into the future. So while again not easy to increase fees, this isn't for a profit. This is just to cover the cost of doing business, and that's why we have to do what we're going to be doing.
And Bryce, I want to thank you. I was not on the board, but I was with the county, and I remember the plight that we were up against and the closing of the facilities, and it was dire. It was really bad, and you came along. You've really turned it around. So thank you. I want to bring up the points that I'm bringing up because I know that there's people in our community who don't have a clue. They just see the rates go up, and they don't have. So I'm trying to answer questions that have been asked of me, to where we can put it out there for transparency. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it. I think that we need to focus on protecting our businesses, but our constituents at the same time. It's a very fine line. But we are a business as well, and so we need to continue. So I really thank you very much for all the work you have done in bringing this solid waste department back to being a viable business. Any other questions from members of the board? Okay, this matter is also on the board's closed session agenda item as item number C. At this time, do any of the board members or council feel the need to convene for closed session? Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a final board discussion and or motion action on this item. A motion by Supervisor Shuckley and a second by Supervisor Townsend. Please cast your vote. And it passes unanimously 5-0. That concludes agenda item number 6. Thank you, and the public hearing is now closed. This is going to take us to item number 55, which is to receive a presentation from the Resource Management Agency introducing the 2025 staff calendar. Well, I don't blame them.
Was it something I said? We're clearing out the house here, yeah. Good morning, Chairman, Supervisors, County Council, CAO's office. Mike Washam from Tulare County RMA, and I am going to find the
Thank you.
So every year, the last, I'd say 5 years or so, the RMA has done a calendar. We've had many different themes over the years. The Olympics, TV shows, movies, album covers, etc. This time we really wanted to highlight what we do and our employees. So this time the calendar's theme is RMA at work. So I'll just walk through the calendar with you. This is January is our roads crew. We maintain almost 3,000 miles of road. So when you look at our crew, and there are more than, this isn't all of our crew, but when you look at that, there's quite a few miles. If you do it per employee that's in our road service, it's one employee has to maintain about 20 miles themselves, each person. So it's a lot of work, and I know that we get a lot of comments from the public on that, but we do our best. And I'd like to highlight Supervisor Valero in front of our street sweeper. So that was a big initiative when he first got on the board, and that's helping keep our communities clean. This is our engineering professionals. As we design and build bridges, culverts, et cetera, it's very important as we look when you're crossing those roads and those bridges, you need to know that they're safe, and we have a large group of engineering professionals that are hard at work. We also have a grants and resources team that goes out there and tries to obtain funding. So we have a lot of housing projects, water grants, emergency water, et cetera. Also, our forest health group is under our grants and resources team. This is our planning professionals. If you see, the planning commissioners are up in the upper left photo. A lot of community outreach and a lot of these programs that we have to do, and you see the group of planners there. When you think about all of the different state mandates that was mentioned earlier, there's a lot of state mandates in the planning area and land use development. So these are a lot of our professionals, and you will see some of the same people in different photos because we are very efficient. We have people that have to wear many hats, so you may recognize a few photos of the same people. Here's our building and code compliance. I see a professional there reviewing plans there. When you think about the size of the county, we're about a little over 4,800 square miles. It's the size of Connecticut. And this is our crew of building inspectors, code enforcement. They're responsible for abandoned vehicle program, employee housing, solid waste accumulation, all of our building inspections. So there's a lot of load of work put on these guys and girls as well. So our fiscal administration services, they keep everything running. They manage they make sure that all the numbers balance, and we rely on them heavily for all that we do, especially our grants, our roads projects. There's a lot of accounting that is required there, and they go oftentimes unnoticed, but they're greatly appreciated for all the hard work that they do. Here's our planning, our dairy inspectors. It's interesting that we see another familiar face there at one of our dairies that were being inspected at the time. We have a number of dairies, again, highest concentration of dairies for any county in the United States. And we take that very responsible role. We've had lots of, again, state mandates on reductions of air. We're leading the way on technology as far as the digesters, et cetera. So there's a lot involved in that. Our public works, our chip seal crew, this is something that is an annual event really that really puts to improvements there. So it's, I got to tell you that the employees really appreciated the participation from the board members. It's great that you're out there in the field to really see and engage with our employees. It was very, very appreciated. And we really like that. Yes, so there is a leader there giving the high sign, instructing that. We do have a video, unfortunately I don't have it here, of operations going down the road, so it's very, very, very neat. Our signs, the crew, we have another supervisor helping us out there that, we have a whole department that makes road signs, street signs, all of those is very important to the county, and it's great that Supervisor Shucklian was able to go and hang out with them for a bit and see what they do. Our Economic Development Office, again, we've really got a full team now on economic development. We've had many meetings, forums that we've either hosted or attended, and things are really going strong on that end. Down, again, another supervisor, a couple supervisors, I'll get the little photo pop up here. This was groundbreaking for the Comcast broadband expansion down the southern 99 corridor. And customer service professionals, the face of the RMA. This year, we're really putting an effort on customer service. And you'll probably hear about that more as we go forward through the coming year, but really have a initiative for improving, always improve, and we're striving to have that customer service improvement. Is oftentimes difficult because, who wants to come and have to get a building permit, who's happy that they have to do that. So we just want to make sure that we do it in the most efficient manner with a great attitude and get those projects going. It's you know, what we always say to people is that, you know, it might just be a small building permit in the scope of 4,000 permits that we process in a year, but for that individual, especially when it's the unique individual coming in, that's a big deal for them, and we have to be able to guide them through the process in an efficient manner. And our permit center team, again, this is the face of the RMA as people come into our counter, and they work hard. We've been doing a lot of work there. And then just to wrap up, that we've started a monthly newsletter in the works that you can subscribe to, that we're send out, that highlights a lot of the projects that we're working on. And then also we have an internal employee newsletter as well that really highlights the individuals and all of that and gives information about that. So we're really pushing forward. I have a feeling next year we might have a little bit more humor in our photos, but again, we really appreciate the board's participation. It's really meaningful for the employees when you go out and you engage with them, so I really want to thank the board for that. And that concludes the presentation this year.
All right, thank you. Any comments from members of the board? Supervisor Vanderpool.
Hey, Mike, thank you very much. This is a great calendar that really does represent your department. I thought it was a great idea to expose the county and anyone who sees this to really what RMA does, because you are a conglomerate agency that has so many different professional divisions within the department. I think it's really important that we illustrate to the public who you are and really what your employees do. Great way to tell your story. RMA employees are often unsung heroes. Like you said, who wants to go out and fix a road that people just had a tire blowout on, or who wants to go, help an angry person that has to get a permit for doing some work to their home, or whatever it may be. Really just want to say thank you to RMA employees for the work that they do. It is noticed. It was a great experience going out and actually being with your dairy inspectors and seeing the work that is done on a hands-on basis from the side of the county. I've been on the other side of it from the dairy perspective, but seeing what it's like on the side of the county, that was a good experience. And again, just thank you for showcasing the work that your employees do. It's really going to help instill a sense of pride. Great to see all the different faces of the different individuals throughout the calendar. And just, again, thanks for being so responsive to constituents. I'll give you a perfect example. Late last week, I got a call from a constituent who was living in Alpa and driving the elevated portion of Avenue 56. And if anyone's been out there, that was a great savior to get to the community during the flooding. However, there's no shoulders. It's very, it's sketchy being, 50, 20, 30, 50 feet, whatever it is, above the ground level. And then you hit potholes along the way, and there were multiple tire blowouts. But as soon as RMA was contacted and notified about the issue, the response was like that. I immediately got gratification and thank you responses from constituents who felt that. And I know that my colleagues have similar stories with constituents that have been helped as well. But that right there is rewarding for me to see the work that you are doing and having that make such a positive impact within the community. So thank you very much for this calendar.
Yeah, Mike, I always appreciate the calendar and the creativity, but this year I really like the simpleness and highlighting the employees of RMA. And yeah, I had a nice time with everybody there at the sign shop and going out. And so thank you for this, and thank you for highlighting the employees.
All right. Supervisor Vanderpool, did you put in again or no?
You just didn't advance it the last time.
Supervisor Townsend.
Get through laughing at that. All right. Anyway,
I'll give him a break.
Hasn't learned it yet.
all right. Thanks, Mike, for the presentation. Appreciate it. You know, it's been mentioned, but it's such a multi-pronged department. One of the results of that is that that's where most of our calls come in regarding one of the RMA departments, whether it's a concern, whether it's a, you know, sometimes it's a complaint, or sometimes just some sort of a request for information. And what I've seen is, since I've been here, is most of those issues, most of those requests for information have been resolved within 2 or 3 days, to really the delight of the people that call and ask those questions, because they're not expecting that level of service many times. So, and you and all of your staff at RMA have been very receptive to, I know, my personal calls about issues that come into me. So really appreciate that. Based on the pictures you just showed, there's just one request that I have for future: get a bigger hard hat for this melon right here. For the hard hat, or just paint it, it'll work. Thanks, Mike.
Supervisor Valero.
All right. I'd just like to echo what my colleagues have shared, and thank you for putting staff front and center in these calendars, the great calendars that you do every year. And then also just to expand on your visibility. I appreciate the visibility of the department being out and about, the connections that you're making inside the county, outside of the county, bringing resources in with your latest conference. And again, the outreach that you have is impeccable with, again, all of the various unincorporated communities that we represent. And so you're out there, you're filling the gaps, and again, kudos on a job well done.
All right, Mike, Reed, as well, I want to thank you. You know, RMA's been very responsive. You have a huge responsibility in some of these things that pop up at last minute. I know we're way low on the line, but you guys end up, your agencies get up answering them, so I want to thank you very much. I do want to compliment the chip and seal crew that I rode with, and they were absolutely impressive. They operated that machinery. It was all hand signal because you can't hear, and I mean, they were covering some ground quick. They were making very good use of the time, and I think we had to change locations at least maybe twice because they were moving. By the time I got there from other event, they had finished their projects and they were moving. So they're really covering ground. I really appreciate it, and thanks for everything that RMA does. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I just want to acknowledge Alita, our new economic development manager, as well as Lacey. Lacey is really the key to this. She took most of the photos and was out there in the field. So I just want to, without them, we're not able to do this. So thank you so much.
And I see them everywhere, and they really represent RMA well, and they're out. I mean, every time I turn around, they're out taking pictures and they're working. So thank you. You ladies do an amazing job. Okay, with that, is there any public comments on this item, on this calendar? Any ideas for next year? Be careful what we wish for. What's that? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, with that, Madam Council, do we have a need for closed session?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there is need for closed session, and I do not anticipate any announcement out.
Okay, so at the conclusion of a closed session, the meeting will be adjourned. Merry Christmas, everyone, and thank you for coming.